So people ask me about past lives, like, oh, could you do a reading on my past life and all these things. Sometimes the best way is when you feel and experience it for yourself. So in other words, we can all say, oh, you did this before, you were this person before. But when you experience it, it's a whole different thing. It's like it unlocks something in your mind where you feel like you're more connected with your spiritual self. And you feel like you can allow yourself to receive these empowerments that you had from your past life. And at the same time that you discover your obstacles in your past lives, it allows you to break free from those obstacles of fear, anger, hate, jealousy, worry, anxiety. And sometimes it even helps people with their health. Some people believe that we create this in our subconscious mind, this past life story, so that it allows us and we gives ourselves permission to understand and heal. And then some people believe that no, we really had these past lives. But either way, it gives us permission to heal and move on. And it also lets us receive empowerment. So whichever one you believe, it still works. Grab a pen and paper and write down your dreams. Write down all the times you had dreams that were very repetitive, like being in the same place, seeing the same people, doing the same things, but yet it had nothing to do with in this realm, at this time. Write down what you're drawn to, especially write down the things that logically have no reason to why you'd be drawn to it. Also write down fears, obstacles, pain, and allergies. So it goes to the extreme because you have to take a look at these things that you're attracted to. And then you have to look at these things that you're not, because those could also be past life things. So it's like to the extremes. So some of these things are going to be things that you really enjoy and like. And these are the things that you probably had really good experiences with in your past life. And then you're going to take a notice of the things that you are afraid of and don't like or allergic to or can't stand to be around. And those are the things that you probably had a negative reaction to in a past life. So when you take a look at some of these things that you naturally can do, you're attracted to, and you love doing, it was probably matching that same frequency in that other past life. And that's why everything is so effortless, because in your mind, in your soul, you already know that you can do it. And when you see these other things that you hate or afraid of, and you try to run from, you know also that these experiences were probably negative for you in your past life. And you feel that same frequency that matches up to that frequency of your past life. Write down the things and be very real with yourself, like your fears, your obstacles, things that you hate, maybe even things to do with your health. It's not going to be where you like something and there's logic to liking it, so it's not like, oh, I love drawing because when I was a kid I used to draw, or I love music because I come from a family of musicians. Sometimes it's about you like it and you don't even know why you like it. You're like, why do I like this? I don't know. Why am I drawn to this? I have no idea. Why do I want to buy this and collect it? I have no idea. That's the times you kind of want to keep note of, because those are the times when you're drawn to something, you're attracted to something, and it's on a deeper level that's not obvious, and it's not something where you can logically answer why you like it. I was drawn to these symbols, these objects, these things, Tibetan bell, Tibetan bowls, prayer wheels, dorji, all these things at a young age. And then these were all like Tibetan ritual items. And then one time I was really into magic and crystals, and angels and all these other things as well. And I always felt like I had something that I could do to empower myself. But it wasn't like someone said, read this, buy this, try this. It was just, I was drawn to it. And I was so into the mysticism, so into the magic, so into the esoterics, so into the metaphysics, and without explanation. And that's how you know, because when you're drawn to certain cultures, certain arts, certain ritual items, certain talents and gifts like singing, writing, and there's no rhyme or reason behind why, you're just drawn to it. And it doesn't mean you have to be good at it either. You're just drawn to it. It's not that you have to follow that. It's that you want it no matter what. You don't want it to show anybody, and you don't want it to teach anybody. You don't even want it because you're good at it or you want to use it. You just want it. Your soul is at a deeper level of just wanting and attracting these items. When you start writing these things down, then you start understanding that, hey, I must have been into Buddhism, or I must have been into art, I must have been into witchcraft at one time. And when you start noticing these things, then you start realizing that these are different types of empowerments that was maybe at one time in your lives, one of your lives, that you did this. And as you learn more about it, you can either one, diss it, or two, embrace it. If you diss it, sometimes you feel unfulfilled. And that's also how you know that it was something from your past life, because there's such a strong connection with it, such on a deeper level, that you can't diss it. It's so much part of you that you cannot diss it. You can try to. You can say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not into this. I'm not going to collect this. I don't want to buy this. You can try to, but your heart, your soul wants it. It's like pulls you towards it. And in some sense, you feel completed inside when you have it. And that's another reason why you know that it had a past life connection. And sometimes if you embrace it, it gives you that empowerment again and helps you to move forward in life in a positive way. Receive past life information through meditation. Hold the emotion in your body and have your guides find the matching emotion pertaining to that past life. Imagine what that emotion, pain, or obstacle would say if it could talk, and repeat these words while holding that energy in meditation. So for example, say if you have knee pain, maybe that pain would say something like, I feel trapped. Repeat those words and hold on to the emotion. When you get a chance, meditate on them. And what I mean by that is, first go into a part of closing your eyes and relaxing. Getting into a very relaxed state of mind that you can get into. Of course, only when doing this or practicing meditation for at least 5 to 6 months, you're able to get into a good space. So when you get into that good space, then you're gonna rehash that feeling of anger, hate, sadness, that emotion, maybe of I can't speak in front of crowds, or I'm scared of heights, or every time that I go near water, I start coughing, or this person always makes me upset. Whatever it is, go into that feeling of it, sit with that feeling of it, and tell your guides to match that frequency to that past life that you experienced. And when you do this, your energy will match up. It'll connect to that frequency or that lifetime that you experienced these things. And it'll play out and show you a picture. You're not going to get it right away because, like I say, if you don't meditate a lot, it's going to be really hard. But if you do meditate a lot, you can get into that space and you can get your answers that way. And it'll show you, because but you're really going to have to feel that emotion inside. You got to hold on to that anger, sadness, whatever it is. You have to hold on to that emotion so that it can take you to that matching emotion. And then when you reach that emotion, you're going to sit with it and let it play out. And if you can't see it, some people are not seers, but they feel it or they just know. That's when you're going to get your information, because you're going to know what had happened in that lifetime that created it in this lifetime. And then once you get that moment of the story of your past life, once you get that moment, you stay in that frequency and you change it. So you visualize something to replace it, to make it better, to raise the frequency. So like say if maybe you got into an accident. So instead, when you see the accident playing out, you envision that you were able to avoid the accident and everything turned out okay. And then you fill your body with a higher frequency, like a happy frequency, a loving frequency. So say maybe you don't get into the accident, you're okay, and then you're hugging your family and you're very happy and content and appreciative for being alive. So think of the ways you would counter these traumas. So when you feel the trauma and you know it from your past life, play it out in your mind, envision the new outcome, but hold a very high frequency, higher than the one that you had, and then come out of the meditation. And then you're going to know why you were doing things a certain way or afraid of certain things. It'll help you to let go. It'll allow yourself to let go of these situations. If it's something that you feel didn't work for you, try it again over and over sometimes. Sometimes it'll play out in more than one lifetime. But see if that works for you. If it's a happy event or happy feeling that happened for you and you just want to know how it matched up in a past life, hold on to that emotion of happiness, love, whatever frequency it is, and then go through the meditation. Ask your guides to show you the connection for that time being, and they can show it to you as well. So there's that way you can do it, where you go through meditation. You can also try revealing your past life information through tarot cards. You would ask your guides to show you the connection between that certain emotion. So again, you would hold on to that emotion and you would pull your tarot cards and look at the tarot cards. It'll match to the frequency and tell you that story of that past life. There's also another way you can do it, is also through clinical hypnotherapy, past life regression. But I would suggest that the past life regression, meditation, clinical hypnotherapy, all that, it's easier to attain if you go through meditation first. The tarot cards may be a little bit easier, but you can try. But yeah, remember all the extremes of the happiness and all the sadness and obstacles, and write them down. And then see what you're attracted to in this life. And you can even try and match that frequency as well, and tap in that way to figure out why you're so drawn to certain objects. Examples of my past life experiences. So I have this one reoccurring dream all the time of me being in this really cold place with igloos around me, and I'm wearing like this fur coat, and I'm like sitting on something, I don't know what it is, and my mother is sitting behind me, and it feels like we're like going down this snow hill. And every time I dream that, I feel like I was an Eskimo. And I haven't really did any research on Eskimos, but I would always have that recurring dream. So this other one is not a dream, it's actually a meditation. So every time when I try and go into a blank state and meditate, when I first started doing meditations, sometimes I would see this lady, like a goddess, and this Chinese lady in front of me, and I never knew who she was. And she would always like come through me, and I would feel so filled with love and unconditional love. And I never knew who she was. But as I researched more, I realized that it was Kuan Yin. But I don't think it was saying that I was Kuan Yin, but I feel like it was telling me this is something that I have to research. This is something, maybe I was Buddhist at one time, or I had a strong connection with her energy. So when I did past life regression on myself, I wanted to see why I had a hard time speaking in front of others, because I had a really hard time teaching in front of people. And so when I went under, it was so strange. To make a long story short, what it was I got into a past life where I was this really poor, homeless man And I don't know what century or whatever this was, but it was during like the time when they had wagons and horses, and I was hiding on the side of this bushes, and I saw this guy controlling a wagon. They had all these clothes and all these dresses. I actually stoned the guy that was pulling the wagon. So I stoned him and kept throwing stones at him until I knocked him out. I ran to the wagon. I actually did beat him, I think. Well, I know. And I grabbed the dresses and I dressed up like a woman. And the reason why I did that was I needed clothes so badly, and I was so poor that it didn't matter if it was men or women's clothes. I just needed to be sheltered, and I needed some kind of clothing. But later on, I think when I was walking down the path, some type of law enforcement, or I don't know what you would call that, but they found me in walking around in this dress. And of course, obviously it was me who stoned the driver. Obviously it was me who stole it. They grabbed me and they put me in this cave. And every time they asked a question, they would whip me. So they would say like, why did you do this? And they would whip me. Where did you get this from? And they would whip me. And it came down to the fact that I had a hard time speaking in front of people because I was afraid of answering questions, because I associated answering questions with pain. So after realizing that, what I did was I went through meditation and I took myself through it again, but this time controlling the meditation, so that instead I gave the person that was controlling the wagon, I gave him a healing, and I envisioned that I healed him and that he was at peace, and that I was able to forgive myself for what I've done. But also my intention was to give him a blessing. And through that, I was able to speak in front of people easier. I'm not saying it's going to cure anything and you can speak in front of groups of people and big crowds, but it was so much more easier than it was before. So that's some of my stories on past life regression. So I will have more classes on past life regression and meditation. It is coming soon. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below if you had an interesting past life regression or vision. Thank you.